Hey folks, Eshan Lacoste here. All Wise Transformation. It's a nonprofit kind of organization that I have. The idea, the premise was to go into private practice, uh, or have a side private practice on top of my full-time job, and do retreats. Retreats around mental health, spiritual practice, and self-care. And one of the reasons I started this podcast is to have those conversations and to invite people on to talk about mental health, spiritual practice, and self care. And I haven't been posting a lot. I I got a part time job teaching, um, and my full time job. Things have been sort of like really hectic in my full time job. Um, Navigating the new position that I'm in, and um, the responsibilities and supporting my supervisees. So I've been pretty busy in trying to, yeah, trying to find peace, trying to find beauty, for lack of a better word, um, appreciation, to be in a place where you feel appreciated, and you also appreciate the space that you're in, which is a difficult thing to do sometimes. I know for me, Uh, I think I've said before that I get into my head, and um, all of these insecurities happen. All of these things start popping up for me. So whatever these things that are popping up for me, um, being a supervisor, and the responsibilities that come up with that, and navigating getting older, and um, I'm going to be another year older, um, at the end of January. So yeah, it's been feeling, and then uh, having friends pass away, having friends uh, go through a breakup in the relationship, and then a divorce, and I don't know, trying to be there for everybody and support them, and now I will be the first to say that I am not a good friend. Um, and that may come out a little harsh. Um, I don't call my friends all the time. I do a lot of texting. So sometimes I text my friends, and maybe email. I used to do send emails. I don't send emails anymore, but that's been years. Um, yeah. So part of the the interesting thing about this time of year, because it's the holidays, and um, tomorrow is going to be Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. Yay, Christmas Eve. Um, through through all of that, right? I think I have a tendency to be in my head a lot, and I would imagine a lot of folks um, do the same thing. I was at a friend's birthday party, a couple of weekends ago. Um, probably in the beginning of December. Um, and I had realized how sometimes um, certain groups of people make me insecure. Um, I've realized that about myself. Um, Sometimes being in unfamiliar territory, environments, homes, provinces also plays my insecurity. And so I have like these um triggers that happened that makes me um start doubting myself, that makes me start um second guessing myself for various reasons, because I'm not tall enough, because I'm not educated enough, because I'm not cool enough. Yeah, that sort of malingering feeling that happens, that feeling of insecurity about your whole being. And in here, I've talked about um, perfectionism, and how that is a very Western way of approaching being human. Um, it's it can be debilitating to want to present in such a perfect way, sort of working on the malingering aspects of self-doubt, fear, apprehension, shame, um, all of those things uh, tend to play a factor in how we perceive others' view of us. So the anxiety happens, and you start thinking about, am I saying this right? Am I doing this right? Am I dressed appropriately? And depending on the social circle that you're in, no one really gives a fuck. If you're hanging with socialites who rub elbows with royalty and trillionaires or billionaires, trillion, um, maybe you have the luxury to not give a fuck, or you really want to impress everybody there, and so you will do what you need to do. Or you're at a radical fairy gathering where, for the most part, we're probably singing and dancing and having heart circles somewhere, right? They don't really give a fuck as long as you're being your authentic self, right? Like I think there are levels of perceived expectations of who we think we should be, or sometimes who we would want to be, but it's not in our biological nature to be that person. I'm sure if you worked really hard at it, you probably can achieve anything. Um, but is the persona in line with you, right? Like if it's a DL man who is in the closet, um, but I don't think DLs would say that they're in the closet. I think DL men to a certain degree really identify with that persona. Um, and as long as they're I don't know. I don't know. It's a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down quite yet. Anyway, so the insecurities that happen when you're in a space that is out of your element, is out of sort of your social bracket to a certain degree. So the fear of not saying the wrong thing, the fear of not doing the wrong thing, the chatter that happens, and it's all about, how do I present? How am I presenting? Um, which is so tiring. which is so tiring. But the thing, the caveat or the piece or 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 um perfection radiates, I want to be needed. I want to be wanted. I want to be viewed in a way that is being worshipped. Now this is my view. Um, this is sort of my lived experience. Uh, I'm not telling people how to live their lives. I'm not telling you this is um, a, a, a surefire way of fixing. No, I do not know how to even fix my own life. And please, please do not view me as somebody who has it together because I don't. If anybody tells you that they do have it together, um, either run the other way or submit, submit body and soul, which feels like a cult to me, kind of. So here we are, um, an adult, still worried about what other people think of me. And it comes from an insecure place, right? There is a insecurity with myself, by myself, the view that I have of myself, and that security comes from not being valued, not being seen, and the things that I am good at. I do love receiving praise, and I do want to be the person at the table that knows everything. I do want to be that person, but that's unhealthy. That's destructive. That's arrogant. That is so many emotional pitfalls that I would be in therapy for the rest of my life. Um, Co-op coffee, not bad, not bad. I went to the local co-op to get coffee because my coffee shop was closed because it's New Year's Eve. Um, and speaking of like anxiety, the holidays, ugh, giving me anxiety. And so that's where we're at. We're at a place where we have to work on holding that wounded part of ourselves that we don't ever believe will heal, can heal, or even should heal, which is which is really sad. It's really, really sad. When your whole life becomes fear, fear of walking out your door and saying and doing the wrong thing. All because you don't want to be that person who slipped and fell, or that person who has the toilet paper stuck beneath the bottom of their shoe, or the person who has the spinach between their teeth, or the person who didn't who did not have tissue and they sneezed and snot was going out their nose, the person who said the racist thing in the room. um, no one wants to be on that side. But the process of being human is the uncomfortability, the yuckiness, the foulness, the confusion, the fear. Um, I have not learned how to embrace it, but I'm practicing and making myself more tolerant of of the idea. How can we become more tolerant of our anxiety, right? Like, how can we become more tolerant of our fear of tomorrow? Like, what, what, what are we saying when we want everything to be perfect? Control, power? Yeah, we're saying a lot, or what we're not saying, right? So when you sit in your despair, or when you sit with your awkwardness, um, you become more authentic. I and I and I and as I age, I do believe that's what that's why older people don't give a fuck. I think not every old person that I've met sort of have that philosophy, but more than enough that I've met as they get older, they don't give a fuck. I'm not quite there yet, but I have my moments where I don't give a fuck. Give a fuck. So we keep working. We keep showing up at events. Um, we hold ourselves in a compassionate, kind light, right? Like we don't we don't practice the harshness. We don't uh, focus in on the negativity. Not saying you're not gonna think about it, but acknowledge the other side, right? Like acknowledge that yeah, that today was a bad day. Um, either because I fucked up and I'm gonna own it, or because I found myself in a fucked up situation that felt very unfair. Um, for various reasons. For what but what do you do, right? Like you keep going. Some people they close themselves off from everybody. Like I believe that's what agoraphobia is, right? It's the fear of leaving your house. But why are you scared of leaving your house? Because there are other people you're going to interact with, right? Like and that's the issue, right? Like we have issues because we have to interact with other people. So, um, sometimes we're the most healthiest person in the room, and sometimes we're the most fucked up person in the room. Um, either way, you keep showing up in a kind, compassionate, authentic way. My brother recently wrote a book, um, communication skills uh, for couples, relationships, communication skills. And I just started reading it, and I'll probably finish it, by the end of this week. Um, it's it it brings the main focus of the book is obviously communication. That's the main focus. Um, but one of the examples that that he has in the book, um, or an exercise or a practice, is to put yourself in the other person's shoe, right? Like, and again, the way that he's asking folks to use this particular exercise or tool, is to, if you're just having a disagreement with your partner, or there's some sort of struggling, right? It's like trying to imagine yourself in the other person's shoe, right? Like, what how do you think that they're hearing you or perceiving you? Which is a really good practice, right? Like, I think sometimes, um, as the practitioner working with participants, um, I sometimes forget to put myself in their shoes. But I have the skill where when people are sharing with me, I'm literally visually seeing everything that they're describing, right? So if they're describing an interaction in the kitchen with whoever, um, I'm I'm imagining that I'm literally visually there. Um, and so when you when you find yourself overthinking, right? Like, and I think my point is that, um, part of the skill is to remember that you're probably not the only one in the room that's feeling, um, anxious or apprehensive, or insecure or fearful. All of those things. Um, and then like, I've been in spaces where I've been so comfortable, um, that I literally just lost track of time, and before I knew it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like past midnight, and I gotta go home. Um, and so the work is to, I don't know if humble is the right word for what I want to say. Whatever the work that you're doing, there has to be a level of awareness. Um, some people would say emotional intelligence. Probably that's a factor. But 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 perfection wants you to sort of be cookie cutter to a certain degree, um, and then trying to be yourself probably does not fit in that description of perfectionism. So the thing that I realized at that party of my friends was that, I spend way too much time in my head. I, Again, I was able to enjoy as soon as I realized what I was doing, I was able to sort of put the mini committee chatter aside, um, more often than I expected, and I was able to sort of be present at the party, hang out with people, socialize, have fun, speak and meet new people, a little flirting. Um, that's all I got, folks. Please continue to practice being kind to each other. Happy holidays.